What's up, guys? It's Steve here from Warrior Planet Tanks. What's going on, fish keeping Jamaica? Brother Raleigh, I appreciate you for having me on to discuss a topic. It's kind of serious in nature, but I do think that it does deserve being addressed. So the question is, do I think, in my personal opinion, that racism exists in the hobby? And I'm gonna give you my short answer. Absolutely. Absolutely. And before everybody starts to get tingly and uncomfortable, so be it. This is not one of those discussions. This is me sharing my personal experiences in the hobby and how socio-political things, as they always do, creep into every facet of life. So, I've been in the hobby since I was 9, and I remember growing up Southeast Texas, we didn't have a whole lot available to us as far as the hobby was concerned. You had mom and pop pet stores. You know, you could go down to Houston, you used to go to the Willowbrook Mall, Walmart, whatever like that. You know what I'm saying? And I can remember growing up the way I grew up, there was only a handful of things to do that was socially acceptable. I was a nerd, okay? I like reading books, I like running around in the woods, catching bugs, all the critters, creepy crawlies, you know, and Roger Tory Peterson field guides. That was my bread and butter when I was a child. You know, catalog and stuff. I was raised by external family, grandmother, aunts, uncles, etc. You know, I had cousins and stuff, so on and so forth. But I wasn't one of those kids, you know, always trying to be with the in crowd. I was kind of off, secluded to myself. I was a nerd, you know, and my grandmother was a green thumb. That's how I got into plants in the first place. That's where the credit goes. That woman, anything she touched, she could grow. So, not to go into a life story, I'm not Antoine Fisher, okay? I'm gonna stay focused. So, moving forward, I start gaining momentum in the hobby. I would go keeping the normal stuff, tadpoles, gambusia, offenders. We didn't have Holbrookie at that time. We're west of the Mississippi. You know, just your normal stuff that I could catch, your local sunfish, natives, and whatever I could convince my folks to purchase me at the store. And moving into the hobby, I noticed that the treatment varied depending on the stores I went to and who I was with and the level of knowledge of the people involved at the stores. And this goes with forums, groups, anytime social interaction was required. And I've seen it. It still exists. It's the same paradigm. I got a running personal joke. Anytime I go to a pet store, these people don't know me from Adam. They do what every person naturally does, and okay, I'm gonna look at this cat and I'm gonna categorize him so I know how to deal with him or her. And my running joke is, when I'm asked, what kind of tank you got? I usually say, which one? And then that dialogue starts. And depending, you know, usually I'll just mess with somebody and I'll say, you know, I got a 55 gallon and I got about 6 Oscars in there. Because that's the old stereotype. All black people got Oscars, just like all black people got pit bulls. And you know what? I do have a pit bull, but I don't have any Oscars. And moving on to it, it's just on a more serious note. I've come to realize that as a society, I do honestly feel as though our society is not necessarily ready to see our demographic population shed in a light that is on an intellectual level. Unfortunately, I do feel as though there's a certain sense of mediocrity that comes along with anybody that looks the way I do, that belongs to my ethnic group, when we try to branch out and do things that are predominantly populated by other demographic groups. I mean, you just don't see a whole lot of black people dealing with anything that has to do with nature, ecology, science, etc., unless it's made to be in a jovial, almost humoristic light. And I've had to deal with that my entirety since I've been in the hobby. I've had people tell me things that I don't wish to repeat on the internet, things that I'm not going to give power to or entertain. Do I feel as though I've been discriminated against? Absolutely. And this isn't a pity party, I'm just bringing something to light. Look at YouTube. Look at YouTube. There's a guy, and I'm not going to say any names, but this cat had like 4 videos, and he has like damn near 10,000 subscribers. 4 videos of the same tank. You got a lot, there's a lot of African American, or let's just say black people, which I hate to quantify myself to a color, but for the sake of conversation, a multitude of brown-skinned people, if you will, creating highly educated, quality content, and their channels just can't get any traction. I don't understand that. It's funny how you can see certain people, you got cats killing fish all the time. I'm not gonna say no names once again, because I know how I am. I don't want to do that, because I will come see you. But you got cats killing fish all the time. Let me tell you something. If you're gonna be in this hobby, you're gonna kill fish. You're gonna make mistakes. It happens. But it seems that it's easier to appetite or the stomach when certain people do it. But when other people do it, scourge of the earth. Worst person that was ever born. You know, and I'm seeing this as I look at the tube. I mean, I get some crazy comments. I don't, like I said, I don't give them any traction. I ignore them because that's what people do. Excuse me. They like to throw their emotional venom onto other people. I've had people in conversation. I'll never forget this. I'm having a conversation with some cats. This was, God, I had to be like 19, 20 in college. I was going to culinary school, and I was still doing my thing. You know, that's what I like to do. I like to cook, and I like to deal with the critters. So I'm hanging out at the pet stores. I'm hanging out at little shops and stuff, doing like how I do. This was before I got my got hired on for the aquascaping company that I work for. And we're in a conversation, and this cat straight up says, "I don't believe you because you black." So, backstory, I'm giving this guy some tips and on how to take care. The dude had an iguana. I'm giving him some tips on how to take care of this critter, and I'm telling him what to do. Also, I do herping as well. I like, you know, reptiles and amphibians. So I'm giving this guy tips. He's seeing some of my setups and stuff because I'm doing terrariums. I've always been, I like getting down, you know. And I'm telling him, hey, bro, this is what's wrong with your critter. This is what you need to do. And he says, well, that ain't what such and such told me. And I'm like, well, why do you believe such and such, but you don't believe me? Google didn't exist at this time, by the way, folks. And he straight up said, well, he's white. And I'm like, are you serious right now, bro? And he was like, I'm just saying, like, black people don't black people don't do stuff like this. And yeah, to say the least, I was like, okay, bro, whatever. Good luck with you. It's a damn shame that, your animal's gonna die, but, do what you want. Rock out, bro. You like it, I love it. And that's just one instance, been refused jobs, I can go into a pet store and, yeah, people just, he's just looking, he doesn't want to buy nothing, but, to get back to it, absolutely. I do believe it exists, and it's not to say that it's going to keep me from doing the hobby, but absolutely, I do definitely believe that it does exist in the hobby. I don't think it's prevalent, but I do think people have their own prejudices when it comes to certain things, and that's just part of the society that we live in. It's just part of the society that we live in. But that's food for thought. Hopefully this generates some positive dialogue. My intention is not to spread hatred, it's to spread love. It's to spread education. This is a hobby. You're gonna see me being me. And it is what it is at the stage in the game. It's an unfortunate thing that we have to live with, but by no way, shape, or form, this ain't no pity party from me. I personally am aware that racism exists. I'm aware that prejudice exists, but I don't give it power. I don't acknowledge it. That ain't about me. That has nothing to do with me. That has to do with the other people. The other people. And I just continue to move forward. So hopefully this will give you some food for thought and kind of make people cognizant and bring things to light without going too deep into it. But this is a fish channel, fish tubing. This is what's important right here. This is what's important. Sharing, growing, learning. And unfortunately, with everything that we set out to do as people, you always gonna have poison trying to seep in and bring toxicity. The goal is to transcend above that and be your best person. Love you guys. Thank you, Brother Raleigh, for having me on. This is Steve from Warrior Planet Tanks. I'm out.